Hello and welcome back to another Monday morning sketch video. And this is where we let go of trying to draw perfectly and instead we have some fun and explore what it feels like to build a better relationship with our art. Now, I have a bit of a disclaimer. I have had a few recording issues lately and this video unfortunately was one of the victims. But before this one, I was trying to sketch out on the kitchen table because the winter sun was coming through and it just felt like a nice space to be in. But I had to adjust the blinds on the window because it was just so unpredictable on the camera, and the camera settings were just so hard to get right, and it was just too much for me to handle. So those two videos are for the bin. And so today I'm back at my work table that has a couple of lamps to even out the lighting, and well, even this recording didn't happen without its own issues. As you can probably tell by now, the real-time audio didn't record. I should have checked, I really should have, but I got complacent, and since this one, I am now going to do an audio check before getting into any recording, which is what I used to do. I don't know why I stopped. Like I said, I just got complacent. Anyway, I decided to do more figures, as with all the horse stuff that's been taking up my focus, drawing other things is like taking a break and somewhat retaining some of the limited skills, some limited skill in those things like figures or portraits, the things that I used to draw a lot. And I don't want to feel like I'm starting from the beginning again when it's time to revisit these other subjects. So this time I chose photo reference of rock climbers, and I looked at many images on Pinterest, and it's just incredible the strength these people have, both body and mind. I can only imagine the amount of concentration and calculations needed to do a climb. And not only that, but knowing your body and its strength, how it moves, your physical limitations. To me, that just seems like a really intense activity to be into. I can't even lift my own body weight. Well, nowhere near it actually, but I mean, that's my own fault. But anyway, so I started out with some gesture lines just to get a feel of the space that he's going to take up on the paper. And it's really just a few lines just to give me some indications of what's going on. I just do the legs, and they're pretty simple at this stage. And you can see that I put the kneecap on that one leg a little bit harder because I felt pretty confident that that's where I wanted those particular pieces of anatomy to be in the space that I'm drawing. And basically I don't know, I'm just having fun. I'm just trying to figure things out. I find that fun. So for me, it didn't used to be that way, but now it is kind of a way for me to take focus off other things and to focus on just what I'm doing on the paper with the pencil. And that is actually quite relaxing now. So I get into the body part, trying to figure out where the chest is going to sit, and the rib cage, the chest muscles and all that kind of thing. So I'm looking at the reference and I'm looking at my sketch, and while I'm not trying to be perfect, because I can't, I don't think I have the motor skills yet for that. I can't seem to get down the shape that I see and interpret that into my hand yet. Even after all these years, it is still really hard to do, to get it perfectly right. And that's why I don't try for that in these morning sketches. I mean, you'll see me erase occasionally, but that's only because if I erase a line, it's because it's distracting me from fixing it up, from doing what I want to do. So I'm okay with erasing. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I leave it there because sometimes those lines add extra energy to the sketch. But if it's distracting me from seeing what it is that I'm trying to do, I'll go ahead and erase it. And sometimes it's just, the arm can be just as simple as that, because that is my choice. I've realized that arm is just all wrong, so it's going to distract me from seeing what it is that I'm trying to see. And so I go back to putting that shoulder cylinder in just to give me an indication of where I went wrong, because I do want to fix these things up as I see them, because that's also a skill as well. And then I just moved on to something else. Sometimes moving on to something else helps because I'm not thinking about that thing that I was having trouble with, and I can come back to it later because what happens is while I'm sketching another part of the figure, I'm still working, problem solving and working that problem in the back of my head, the original problem with the arm. And when I've got the answer, I can come back to it later. So that's what I do all the time. And you can see the stronger lines that I put in, the more confident ones, the more confident marks are where basically where I think the final thing is going to go. Although there's a bit of a club foot, so that one wasn't very well. I do fix that up. I'm pretty sure I do. I hope I do. But sometimes it's also really hard to see what it is that you're doing wrong in the moment, and you don't see until afterwards, and you watch it back, and you think, oh, if I knew, I just could have seen that at the time. But it is what it is. I think his legs are actually a little bit short looking at it now. But yeah, I've just realised that ankle is missing. I think this man needs his ankles somehow. But yeah, I'm not too worried about it, and I think that's all I did to fix it up. Back to that arm, because I'm feeling that maybe I have a bit more of the puzzle in my head figured out. Maybe not, Maybe I didn't. Maybe I decided to go back to the head and put a little bit of his hair in, or a little bit more of a face in, until I figured that out. Now the faces, if you've watched my videos, you'll probably know that I do have a lot of trouble with drawing small faces. So I just kind of sometimes just put a bit of indication in, because I'm not really there to draw detailed faces. And I just go ahead and continue on with the body, because that's what it is that I really want to draw. I mean, I think I could have honestly just been done with this sketch at this stage, but you don't know. I must have had a purpose. I felt I still had something left. Put in his nipples. So my other weekly roundup video, the one that I did just this past week, should be out by now. I'm going to try and get them done by Sunday night, so that I can upload them on Monday mornings for a fresh new week. It's kind of exciting to be doing, and also a little bit daunting, because it feels like I'm giving myself a lot of workload when it really probably isn't in the grand scheme of things. I'm just not used to it, and that's something that I have to work through. I need to learn to work with a little bit of pressure if I want to get anywhere. So especially, so that I don't give up at the first sign of resistance. And that's when I get overwhelmed. I will toss everything aside and tell myself I don't have to do anything. But I also know that I will come back to it after a day or a few days, or sometimes when it gets really bad, it might be a week or two. And it's not a cycle I particularly enjoy, so I do want to work on that. I want to learn to actually enjoy that little bit of pressure. So the weekly art roundup videos are hopefully going to fill a bit of that gap. And so I feel like I'm looking forward to it. I was a bit stressed this morning because I haven't done anything on my sheet yet, but we'll get there. It's still the morning, so there's still the rest of the day. I've done my exercise for the day, so I can concentrate on some of the other things on my to-do list. So back to this sketch, I'm just putting a little bit of the wall in just to give a little bit of context to what's happening with this person's figure and what he's doing. So now we move on to the next reference, and oh my goodness, just look at her. These people are holding on with just their fingertips in some of these photos. It's just amazing. It's just amazing the strength that these people have. I just can't get over it. Anyway, to get started with most of these figures, I try to search for the flow of the body, and I can do that in a number of different ways. Sometimes I'll just start with a stick figure, and sometimes I'll start with a shape like I did with this one, and I'll just work my way out of there. And it can be a minute or two sometimes for me to sort out what it is that I'm seeing and to untangle what the figure is doing, interpret that with my little brain, and have that come out onto the paper with the pencil. And trying to, when I do that, it's a matter of trying to put that on paper in the way that I want to. And I almost never get it right the first time. But But these are morning sketches, so I try not to worry too much about that. I did have a moment where I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what that other leg was doing. I couldn't figure out what it was because the reference was quite small. And when I did, I was happy with it. I was happy with the pose once I figured out what that other leg was doing. And it was the calf. It was the back of the calf muscle that we were seeing, and the foot is on the other side away from us. So sometimes we have to, when we're drawing things, we have to do all of this problem solving and figuring out. And I think it's quite healthy for us to do that, even if we don't get it right. It just helps with our understanding of what's going on. And I think the more that we do it, the better our understanding becomes. I do erase those lines on the body because I thought I had the body too wide, and I felt that it was distracting me from seeing what it is that I actually wanted to try and get down. And I did realize that the body was a little bit long, so I did fix that. And you can see when I'm happy with the mark, because I will make it stand out. It will look more confident, like that one for the leg that I just did. And I would like to be able to sketch with more of those confident lines, and hopefully I can remember that for next time, for the next time I do my morning sketch. It's just so easy to forget what you're trying to do sometimes, especially when it seems like every mark you make is the wrong one. Again, having these morning sketch sessions means that I can just let it be. All the marks that I make, I won't judge them. I won't hate them. I will just let them go because this is dedicated to that. I can do it. This is the time for me to let those things go. I can always do another drawing session that is more about building skill in figure drawing, but I don't have the motivation right now while I'm learning about drawing horses. I think it's best just to tackle one subject head on at a time, at least for me. It doesn't mean that I can't still draw other things. It's just that I'm not overly concerned about being perfect about them. Putting in the shape of the top here also helped me fill out the top of the figure. And also, once I put the hair in, I could better see where the head fit into all of this. It looks a bit funny. It looks a bit funny right now, but sometimes you don't need to fill certain parts in. You can just leave it and just let your imagination fill those bits in. Again, I'm practicing the way that I'm holding my pencil as well. And I tried there. You can see that I tried to do that confident mark. I'm trying to do more of those. And where I feel the joints, where I'm confident where something should be, I will make a darker mark, like I did for that elbow there. And then the hands. The hands are funny things to draw because they are quite complicated just on their own. And sometimes I will get them and I'll think, oh, that looked all right. It wasn't too bad. And other times it just looks like, I don't know, salad fingers, spaghetti fingers. Oh, it's just some hand poses that I have a lot of trouble with. I mean, she's looking like she's got a bit of spaghetti fingers. I mean, I can tell when I'm doing this that there is something wrong with them, but I don't have the time or the inclination to actually really fix it up too much. So if I can obviously see what's wrong, of course I will do that. But, you know, I think at some stage I just think, oh, just let it be. I think it's around here that I think I just let it be. Yep, I just decided that was enough. This pose is just about giving me all it needs to give me for the day. And sometimes at the end of a sketch, like with this one, I'm just reviewing what it is that I've done, but my pencil is still moving, but I'm still thinking about it overall and just thinking about how it looks on the page. It's just that my pencil is usually always moving. And I think that's done for that one. No? The lighting on this figure is a little bit weird, so I think I should have just left it. Don't worry about the shading. It doesn't need shading. On to the third one. So now we have the third figure, and I just love the perspective of this figure. Her legs make such a nice shape, and I'm thinking I can exaggerate the perspective a little. And I get to play with some overlapping and making things smaller in the distance and larger as it comes towards us, towards the viewer. Now, I have to start somewhere, so I start with just a few lines just to see the space that it's going to take up on the page, and I realise that I might run out of room, so I just erased a lot of that. I just scrap that. Let's start again, because I know that my tendency is to make things bigger, and I don't want to run out of room for this one. So I move it down. I move the body down a little bit, and we've just got gestures for the legs. It really is just gestures for the legs, and just those lines, those marks, those fluid, curvy lines for the body. I just love drawing them. They're just so much fun for me. And this pose was just magical. It was just so much fun at the time to draw. I did still run out of room at the top there a little bit. But I really loved the strength, the shape and strength of that arm and shoulder as well. I did try to get that as much as I could while still keeping it feminine. And that's when I realised that I still was going to run out of room, but that's okay. I just put a little bit of an indication for her head. Her head is quite a lot smaller than the rest of the figure because it is pretty far away. And as I said, I wanted to exaggerate it. So I don't know why I even spent so much time on that. I really shouldn't have, but it's fine. So as I move down the body, I just let everything get a little larger. Maybe a little bit too large. But I did intend to play with that exaggeration, so that was okay. Just trying to find the hips and the legs. Trying again. See, I tried for those strong, confident marks. So I was aware of my intention to do that more than the scratchy ones where I'm not really confident on where things are going. So those initial gesture lines were just I don't know. They were just a guide. There weren't anything that I would use unless it just happened to be in the right place. But it was just an indication of where these legs are headed. I think I realized that by making it different from the reference a little bit, the position of the legs moved as well. So I had to have a go at fixing that up. I wanted to get an overlap with the foot like the reference, but it didn't quite make it. I was going to have to move the leg just a little bit. And I did manage to get a teeny tiny overlap in there once I saw what was going on and that it wasn't what I wanted, and I just erased it. There it goes. It's not working. Get rid of it. I used to be so reluctant to erase things once I've drawn them because it felt like I had to do it all over again. But with my long drawings, sometimes I did have to erase whole sections if it didn't work out. And I think that practicing erasing large sections of your work that isn't working is also something else that just needs to be practiced so that you're not as resistant to drawing it again. And you can see by erasing that and redrawing that foot and just having that tiny little bit of overlap in there that it's so much better. It's so much better than what it was before. And you can tell when I'm not confident, when I'm not sure about what I'm drawing, because my marks start to be scratchy, less bold. I change my grip on the pencil. I tend to go over things more than once. But then at some point you've got to make a decision. Is this line going to go here or is it not? So that's what I'm trying to work on sometimes with these morning sketches. It's just confidence. I'm just happy that I can start recognizing when I'm being hesitant with my marks and not having that confidence, knowing where to make it go, or knowing that I can make it go where I want to go. Because for the longest time, for years, I haven't been able to get into the space where I can recognize, hey, you're doing this. It's time to stop. It's time to stop because, you want to make your marks less scratchy and make a choice on how to proceed. Hopefully one day I'll be able to catch it a lot quicker, because it does sometimes take a bit for me to start realizing that I'm in that headspace where I'm sitting on the point of the pencil and everything is just really starting to be a bit of a mess. The better I am at catching myself when I'm doing that, the more I can make a choice of where the mark is going to go. And the quicker that I can learn to make those confident marks, to get into that space where, okay, this is where this mark is going to go and I'm going to do it with gusto. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just something that I personally want to work on. And I did have to fix up the head a little bit, and then I go back to that really strong shoulder, because I just really loved that. I just liked the strength she had there, and I wanted to feel a part of that in some way, in a weird way, if I'm drawing it. I end up putting a little bit of shading on the legs, but honestly, throughout this whole thing, none of these figures really needed any shading. I honestly think that they would have been okay without it. But legs a little bit wonky, so I tried to fix that up, but it's all right. It's not accurate, but it's what it is. And then we're done with the morning sketch, and the results are average. I'll admit it. These results are pretty average. I know there are a lot more people out there that can do it a lot better, but there are also people out there that would love to be at my stage as well. So I recognize that, and I'm grateful for where I am in my drawing skill. And I'm also grateful for the time that I got to spend drawing. I think it's worth more to me than the actual results, the end result. The drawings at the end are just the byproduct of spending that time with a pencil in my hand and enjoying those moments of sketching without any pressure. Well, trying to draw without pressure. Practicing letting go of that pressure. But thank you for joining me today, and I hope those watching are making time to bring that fun and exploration back into your drawings and using this time for yourself with no strings attached. Let me know how your sketching is going in the comments, or just leave a like to let me know that you made it to the end. Consider subscribing for more content like this, and go and have a look at the weekly art roundup video that is up now. Anyway, that's it. Keep drawing, everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye.